So, Jim, did
Mm-hmm.
you see my file once I finally remembered to link it? The dodgeball
I
game.
didn't get to check it out yet. No.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. It's probably something I've done and not the behavior graph system, but just wanted to be sure. Did you see the emoji cannon though?
I did. That was really cool.
Yes. However, I think Manuel has now fixed it, so it doesn't work the same.
Okay.
Oh, you fixed the spawners coming in at the correct size, and I been using it to I sort of been making use of that. I had made it bigger to account for that, so that it would drop down into my emoji cannon. But that's totally fine. It should 100% be fixed. I just need to update the file now to account for that. But it was fun. I had a spawner up above this little cannon with a little shooting animation, like within in the barrel and a plunger sort of, and these emoji balls would just drop down into a funnel and then be funneled into the barrel and shot out by this animation, and it works great.
I haven't seen that.
I think it's somewhere in the behavior graph alpha testing channel. Up a few.
Okay, so it was based on behavior graph, but
Yeah.
the fix for the spawner is not yet in the behavior graphs of brands, so that should still work.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, I think we can get started. Start like a group here. Let me put on my notes. Yeah, so yeah.
First things first. Are we going to record this session or not?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about if anybody can, because I can't really run the recording plus the rest of the thing. So if anybody wants, it's fine. Otherwise, EPS is also okay. I think. Maybe I can try. I'm not sure if it's gonna. I'm gonna try if everybody.
What do you use, OBS for it, or?
No, I don't even have OBS installed. I was just like thinking of just doing like a screen recording with the computer audio, and that will catch the voices and at least the browser window. I guess that will work, right?
I don't know.
Guess what? I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna try. See, this is the only problem. It's gonna be like a huge recording. But I never try recording something so long. Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I would do it, but my internet has not been reliable lately.
Does that work? Requires internet for OBS?
Well, just meaning that I'm likely to drop and then miss part of it. And
okay, yeah. What did we do with the last recording, by the way?
Michael.
So Michael. Okay.
Rithik is just linked me his version of the recording, which he said he'd share. That included stuff after Michael had to leave. So I think maybe
Okay, yeah.
Rithik, could you post a link to that in the Behavior Graphs channel as well? No? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have been trying to record with the screen recorder, but it doesn't really. Yeah, I think. Yeah, and also I can see my system already the audio cracking a bit, so I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it locally. If I really can, that's fine. Otherwise, I guess we'll have to record for this one.
I don't know. I've never tried recording a session with audio.
Yeah.
Not in OBS Studio, and my OBS Studio is broken at the moment, I think.
Mm.
But I mean, I can.
I just trying to figure out if there is an option to record the system audio. I think there was in the past in this app, but I can't see it now. So yeah, I don't wanna waste more time. So oh yeah, maybe this is the option.
Well, I'll see.
Well, okay, I'm gonna get started because otherwise it's gonna get late.
All right.
So yeah, this session was mostly to talk about the latest updates, and then some well, to talk about also the event model. But I didn't have time to go over the information that Tobias shared last time. We can talk about it a bit more, but I didn't have time to go deep into that. So yeah, mostly just go over what the latest update is, and if anybody has something to show or questions to ask, then we can go over that. And then yeah, I want to also show like an update that we're working on for the main add-on, so you can update or like run the scene in a half session from Blender without needing to export and drag and drop, create a room, all that. So yeah, I'm gonna show that and those things. Let me share my screen first so I can. That would be this. Okay, yeah, this one. Two. Oh, that's my screen, so it doesn't work.
The screen share is not working?
No, that's not working. Today is not the day.
That's weird. What browser are you in? Firefox?
No, because I enter on Firefox nightly, but the audio maybe something was broken in nightly, so now
Nightly. Good old Nightly.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
I stopped using Nightly a long time ago for that reason.
Yeah.
I wanted to be on it.
Yeah, you can see my So this works. So how's the other one not working? So let me move this. Okay, yeah, that one. So you can. I hope you can see my Blender.
I think I see it. Yeah, can I pull it up in the? There we go.
Yeah, please. Good. Yeah. So.
I see your browser, but I don't see Blender yet.
You don't see Blender?
I'm seeing your browser.
Okay. Why? Weird. Okay, maybe this? No. I don't know what's going on with my system. Verify. Not smooth at all today.
It's okay, don't worry. It's Monday.
Yeah, it feels like Monday. Let me see. Why is that? Why is the screen share not working at all? I don't understand.
Anyone else?
How can I do this? Screen share. Tab, window. Let me see. Let me see if this works. People sharing their screens?
Sorry, I did at the same time. I was just testing it.
Is this
Yours is there? There you go. Hey.
Is that mine? No.
That's yours. Do you want to like restart and come back? That's okay. I can stall for time. Let me just talk a little bit about what I think. Let me see. Did Manuel post a link to like an agenda today yet, or not?
Not in the room. It may have been Discord.
All right, let me just check. I don't see it, but that's okay.
Here it is in the room.
Let me just look here. Yeah, I can talk a little bit just about some of the new stuff that Manuel added last week. I got a hold of it early, but then he rolled it into the main branch, which was having the ability to pass data along with a custom event. And so if you're not familiar with custom events, the long and short of it is basically when you have one graph and you want to use it to trigger something in another graph or another object. Could also be done in the same object, like in the same graph, but that's not really, that's kind of a detail. The main thing is that we've had the ability to send a custom event, but we didn't really have any way to pass other information along with it. And so I'll share my screen real quick. Here we go. Should take a second. I'll put it up in the middle here. Try not to touch it while you're moving around. Basically, yeah. So when you create a custom event, usually you like here's a graph. Usually a custom event comes in. Wait, is this the one? Yes. Like in this gem object, I have a graph that has a trigger. This is a custom event on the object called change scale. And when that event gets fired from somewhere else, like some other graph, usually it would just be this event coming out of it. And so you could just trigger some logic or something. this now gives us the ability to pass data out of them as well. And so by having these outputs, this is what it looks like over on the side. Let me zoom in on this a little bit. So every time you make an event, it has the ability to attach data to it, attach parameters to it. So if I make a new event, you'll see it, these go away. Now I'm looking at this new custom event. So I'll call it custom event number 2. And this event can have data. So like maybe you want to send some information along. Like, I don't know, in this case, I'm passing object scale and rotation along with this event. And so you can add data just like any other variables. So you may want to pass some information like the name of the thing, like my name, and call this like this thing, whatever. And maybe you also want to pass the size of something, like, cost. Maybe you have prices on things and they have a cost. And so once you have that custom event, when you go to trigger it, like on trigger from somewhere else, that data can come along with it. There it is. My name and cost can be passed from somewhere else. Now that somewhere else, in this case, in my object, is really, like, in this setup, basically what it is the gem is going to get its size based on which one of these you put in the trigger. And so these all have different scale. You can see this one's 1.5, this one's 2, this one's 1.2, this one's just 1, regular scale, and this one's 0.5 scale. So they have all these different scales. And what I'm doing is I'm saying these are grabbable objects, and when they get put inside this trigger volume, this trigger is what passes that data onto the gem. So this trigger graph is looking for things colliding with it and blah, blah, blah. But really what matters here is when I go to trigger these events on the other object, DOBJ is this gem. Let me rename it. Call it gem. So on the gem object, whenever I trigger change scale, I'm also passing along the scale of the object that entered this volume and the rotation of this object that entered the volume. And so that's getting passed along to the event, and the gem gets that event and then uses that to set its own scale and rotation. Does that make sense to people?
I think so.
Yes, it makes.
Yes,
and
just
I use
passing custom events.
Mhm.
So in this example, just so you can see, oh, I got some kind of error. Why? I might be using the wrong server, right? Anyway, I'll let Manuel take over. Oh yeah, I'm on to. I have to go to my new. Aha! I forgot. Thanks for noticing that. Yeah, and so now these objects have scale and rotation. Well, they always have rotation depending on which way they're rotated. But when you drag one of these in, as soon as this is in the volume, watch the gem, it should take on the scale of this object. And it's also taking its rotation into account. Now this object, it's not doing much. It's just, it's hard to rotate. But like this one, I put a rotation on it, so it's always rotating. And so you can see that updating over there on the gem. as long as it's in there. And then as soon as I pull it out, I also send the event again. Every time it exits, I send the event, and then I set it back to its normal rotation and scale. So if I put a tiny one in there, then it gets small. And that just makes it easier. Passing that information along with the cube, passing the cube's information along makes it so that I don't have to have like a ton of if-then statements like, well, if it's this big, make it this big, or, that sort of thing. So that's all, that's the basics of that. And I know Manuel is going to cover that, but I was just stalling for time. So I will let you take over. No problem. It was a very, very rough. I'm sure we could go over it in detail. But.
Screen, third screen, first screen. Okay, there we go now. Oh, I think somebody was still taking the media frame.
I took my thing out of it.
Oh, no, took a bit. Yeah, I guess it's mostly what you mentioned, but well, just to quickly go over it. Let me open. So yeah, what you can do now is create, whenever you have an event, you can create variables attached to an object, a graph, or the scene, and you can call those events passing the variables, what Jim just shown. So I think that can be useful for creating basically functions that you can call with parameters. So you can create, you can have a graph with a lot of functions that just like a library. You can sort of build a library of functions attached to an object, and then reuse those functions or those events throughout the whole scene. You can imagine. So, or just attach functions to objects, and that would be like that instance of the object has every object having that graph will implement that function, and you can call it from any other object or the scene or whatever you want. So say that, yeah, I haven't prepared any specific examples because
I can show that keyboard example that I.
Because I had like a really busy day today, so I didn't have time to organize this properly. But if you have an example, then that will be nice.
Sure, yeah. I can show that. This
But yeah, just to quickly go over the
you go
this course is this just creates an event, and then you can still rename the event or whatever you want, and then you can add as many parameters as you want, and then the types are the same types as you have for variables. Internally they use the same structure, so it's exactly the same. It works the same internally, variables and parameters for events. So you can have like vector, booleans, floats, everything that entities even, all that should work properly. And then in whatever, whenever you create an event, or when you trigger it, or when you receive the event, then just choose the event, and then you will see here all the parameters. On the other side, you can read the same parameters. By default, they will take whatever value is here, and then you can just change them for whatever you want, or plug them to variables or outputs from nodes. Or
honestly, even just having inputs like that, where you're not piping something into them, is still really useful.
Mm-hmm.
Like being able to reset something by just setting them to 0 or whatever. I found that sort of a surprising function. Like it made it simpler to do certain things.
Yeah. I just realized that actually when you have like a entity socket, then you have the entity to read or to send the event to here. Then you also have the entity the entity parameter. So that can be confusing. Now I've seen it. There's two entity types. This one,
the names, yeah.
yeah. So if you remove that last, that will disappear, but you still have this one, which is that's always there. It's the same as this. It's just the default event that's gonna you're gonna send the trigger, or you are gonna receive the trigger on, and then you can, for triggers we have scene, graph, or some other object where you want to send. So yeah, I can imagine like having what I said. Basically like a set of triggers that they have different parameters and they do different things as functions. You all are familiar with programming, so you know the concept. So this is essentially that, and I guess the implementation is attached to the graph. So whoever has that graph, then it will implement that function, and you can call that function on that object. So you can compose complex object behaviors by attaching different graphs to the object, and every graph. So you can build like a function library, kind of like classes, or you can extend the object with classes, and the graphs being the classes, and then they implement different functions, and so that can be like
Pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think it's very flexible. You can attach it to anything you want, and you can pass any parameters, and so yeah.
It's very similar to how node groups would work. The only difference, I think, is that these are currently asynchronous, while node groups would be synchronous. They would be completely in the flow of the
interesting.
execution.
Yeah, can be something similar to that. But yeah, exactly that. This is asynchronous. So the event fires. Whenever the event fires, there's an event that's been triggered in the behavior graph, and then it will be received by on trigger node asynchronously. So yeah, but essentially you can do very similar things. It is almost the same, just creating functions or complex node trees where you can call asynchronously. So I think that this it felt that it was probably very flexible for people, and also that's Jim also asked for it because it allows you to refactor behaviors into functions and then reuse that without needing to like duplicate a lot of nodes or so that's.
If you ever, my rule of thumb is like if I find myself needing to duplicate a graph just to change one thing, then something's wrong, right? Like then there's probably a better way to do it. And so this was kind of one of those where it was like this would be the better way to do it. I need an event coming in, and I need to say, okay, well, what if it's A? What if it's B? What if it's C? What if it's D? And like I don't want to have to make if-thens for every single possible thing. Whereas this allows you to sort of filter that data and say like, oh, well, yes, this event got triggered, but it's saying that the thing that triggered it is a 2. So that means this, or, something else. Sort of hard to like just say examples rather than show them. But I think most of you get it. Like Manuel said, if you have some programming experience, it should be familiar.
Yeah. Do you want to show some example? You said, or
I'll show that one.
I'll take over there.
Let me just pick the entire screen. That way I can flip back and forth. This, it occurred to me as I was playing with it that like a keyboard is a really good example of this. So in this example, I grabbed this keyboard off of Sketchfab and I separated out the keys into individual objects, which is pretty easy to do. And then made it so that when you click a key, it displays whatever key you typed. And then each time you type something, it just appends it to the last thing you typed, which is why I can't do backspace very well. And we could talk about that. But what's neat about this is that every single key has the same exact graph on it. Same exact one. The only thing that graph does is say, "Hey, light up when I click, when I get clicked," and then the other thing that it does is it receives an event that a key was pressed, and then it, along with that, the data that I'm sending is what the value of the key is, and the values are just strings. They're just string values. So let's take a look at that. This is basically saying, like, let's look at a key. This key has a key graph, and all it does is to say when you interact with it, light it up for like 1/10 of a second, and then turn it back to normal. So that's the lighting up part, sort of top part. But then what also happens, I do right after you click it, I did it as a sequence, but down here it sends a custom event called key pressed to my text object. And it also sends along with it this key val. And the key val is a value on the key itself. There it is, key val string, and he's a value of f. If I click on a different one, you'll see that thing change. I'm hearing my own echo, so I don't know why. If somebody could mute, that would be helpful. So that's all it's doing, and because it's sending the data along with it, they can all have the same graph, and it's very, very simple. Let's take a look at the graph that's triggering this. So if we go to the text object that has our text on it, every time it receives this trigger, key pressed, that could get fired from any key, it also sends along that key val data, and it concatenates it with the string, which I'm also saving, like the whole string, and then updates the text with that. So I keep appending whatever the key that was pressed to this full string value, and then updating it. That's it. And then I tried to do a backspace thing, but I had trouble with that. And the main reason is that we have a tool like concat, so we can concatenate text strings, but there's no, I don't have any other way to like truncate them or remove characters from a string, at least not easily. Not without like storing it as another string and then trying to somehow manipulate that. And right. I was trying to like save every string before you typed the next value and then remember the old string. You know, it was like that was not good. Yeah, I think ultimately we'll need a better like handler for that, beyond just on interact, right? Like you'll probably want to be able to know when somebody typed an actual key on the keyboard and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, still, I thought this was still like a pretty good example for you sending data like that. Made it a lot simpler.
Yep, it's good.
Oh yeah.
Most of this, but yeah. So the timer notes is exactly. I mean, when Jim proposed the feature, he referenced the blueprints implementation of this, and basically I just based this on that one. It's a bit different. So in blueprints you can invoke like functions, like name functions, and also you can call, what's the name of the thing? I can't remember now. Yeah, bound events, I think it's called. But here, as we don't really have, it didn't really make sense. I didn't want to set a timer that invoked a trigger, for example, because I thought it was not as flexible as just outputting to wherever you want. You can just, if you want to...
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to call a trigger, why setting it here? Just output it to a node, and then you can call that trigger like that. But yeah, essentially is so you can set the duration, if it's looping or not. You will get the timer when that's created. So when it's created, you will output here, and will also output the timer ID for that timer. You can store.
What does the timer ID look like? It's an integer, right?
Yeah, it's an integer. Yes, it's just an integer. So yeah, so you can store it in an int variable. So you can just do.
Call it like timer 1 or something, and then.
Yeah. So ideally, you should be doing something like this, timer 1, and then whenever this is executed, this will set the timer. You store the timer, and then on any other graph. The good thing about this is that you don't even need to be on the same graph to clear the timer.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, so basically you store that, and then you read that variable from any other place, and so this could be here, but if I'm in like here and I want to clear the timer, then I just need to like select the object, which I don't remember now.
But that's really useful, because if like often what I do is I have one empty object that's sort of my master game script, and you may want to control all the timers from there, and even though the timers live on the objects or something.
Yeah. So here you just need to just reference that variable the way whatever you want, and then you can just get the timer, and with that timer ID, you can just clear the timer here, and that will be it. So you can send an event to clear the timer, for example. If you need that, whenever that happens, then you can listen to some event, and then on that event you clear the timer, or you can, so you can sort of call that function, and then as part of the function you clear the timer. So yeah, I think that's also quite flexible. Before this, we only have the delay, which the delay node is basically the same as the set timer node with some duration. So you can just, if you do set timer, this and this as it is now will be the same. But then here you can also loop. Also you can store, if there's a long timer here, you can store the timer, and then somewhere else you can clear the timer. And so you don't
execute. Just so for clarity, execute output fires every time that the alarm goes off. Basically, every time the timer finishes.
Yeah. So whenever the timer is done, it will execute. That means that if it's looping, it will execute every time it loops.
Right.
So this will be.
So it'll just fire over and over again forever until you clear it.
Until you clear it, exactly. So it's more flexible than this one. This is just a delay, and you can't cancel it, and it will just like start and.
Plus, you can't re-trigger it easily without another input, and
yeah, you can re-trigger it. Actually, if you re-trigger here, which I think we'll run into that issue, then it will just ignore the.
Like stomp over the old output, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So because internally, this is one of the built-in nodes, and this one discards any other execution if it's already running. So
like a built-in reset that you don't necessarily want.
Yeah. No, that was the implementation internally. So as this is far more flexible, I didn't want to just override this one or whatever it is. I think this is still where it is if you want to use it, but this is just a much more flexible version of that.
That's awesome.
exactly. Yeah, so you could do something like this, and so this will execute when this timer starts, and this will execute whenever the timer is done. And if it's looping, will execute every second forever until you cancel it. So yeah, you could do something like, usually what you want to do is store this timer here somewhere.
Especially if you're going to have another one.
Yeah, so you want to probably do this and then do whatever. They say like, oh, this is started, and then you have the timer, and some other, whenever you want, you can just cancel it. So yeah, I think this is a more flexible version of the current timer, so hopefully it's useful.
I would say if I were going to ask for anything of it, like an enhancement to it, it would have the ability to output the current time.
You mean the current time?
Like the value of the timer as a float, like the elapsed time.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if that's useful, we can add that.
I think. I mean,
Actually.
I've used that in the past for other things, like. Well, actually, I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, how would I use that? I guess occasionally I'd want to know, like, I'd want to display it, like, what the time is. Although I guess you could just do that, through the execution itself, sort of, or with a second time.
Yeah, I guess you can store the time, the elapsed time, like subtract and calculate. You have this time node where you have the now node, so you can, I guess you could play with this to store the start time and then the exit time and then subtract, and you have the lapse time.
I wonder if, maybe after all that, it would be easier just to add it to the timer.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're doing it often.
Yeah, if that's something that, I didn't really think about that, but because it's not something that you usually have.
I would probably want it mostly for debug purposes, right? Like to know when something is going to fire. Or...
Yeah, I think I usually just like store the time and because you might need the elapsed time, but sometimes you need some more complex calculation on time. So it's not. So I mean, for example, in JavaScript, the timers set interval or request timeout. I don't think they provide the lapse time. So yeah.
Yeah.
I know I didn't think about it because it's not how I usually.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking too soon. Maybe I'm just. I don't like to ask for things that I don't actually need. So I should think about that more before I request that. Good. Cool. No, that's good.
Yeah, well, we can leave it like this, and there's some other things to work on. So if there is like, we find that this interesting, or we run into that situation pretty often, we can add that.
Oh, yeah, I usually wait to request until I've tried to use it and then had it not
the
purpose it needs. Yeah, and then.
Yeah, and I think as it is now, you use as instead like using the now node, which gives the current elapsed time. Then I'm playing with subtracting that from storing the previous one, subtracting the current one from the previous one. Then you get the lapse time. So you can do that actually with a few more nodes, of course, but that's possible. So.
And again, if we had groups, then it would be easier to sort of reuse those and.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now you can do it with a trigger, I guess. Now that we have variables, and so you can. Yeah, it's basically was as Imaginer said, like a trigger now behaves very similarly to a node group, but in an async way. So you can just use a trigger to implement that behavior. If in the timer that outputs the elapsed time, then you can maybe use a trigger for that. Well, you can use triggers that trigger other triggers, right? So you can
start another timer. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can have some functionality which is it's like a start a timer and then calculate the elapsed time, and then that output you can pass it to some other object. So you can the input. So I mean something like, so you get imagine that this is a function, and you get this event, and here you get an entity. So here you can here you could calculate the elapsed time and then just take the output entity and then call something else on that entity, and then with that elapsed time. So yeah, so you could build something like that. I think with the triggers now it becomes very flexible. You can create very complex systems.
Yeah.
Okay. So the player collision updates. Or there's any questions about the timers? I heard Imaginer voice.
No, I was just gonna question about the triggers. I'm wondering now, the one thing it doesn't do is anything with a return value. But I suppose you can sort of get around that by triggering another node graph event, but
what do you mean
well, like there is no real concept of returning a value at the end of a trigger,
like to the sender
graph. Yeah.
Return. That's not a built-in concept in the triggers. So triggers don't return values.
One directional.
Yeah, but as you said, you can just, if you need that, then you will need to do something like doing this and then triggering some other event back on the caller. So you can send the caller as a parameter and then trigger an event on the caller. I guess that will be, it will be like, I pass you this instance of an object that I know that implements this class, that will be this behavior graph. So then on the output, I can call back that object, just passing whatever parameters. And so essentially, I think that this is pretty similar to what you will do like in object-oriented language, like implementing classes or interfaces or extending classes, where you have like composing behaviors, composing instances based on graphs. So you can have a library of functions, and then you attach that to an object, and then that object is implementing those functions now. And that's every object implementing or with that behavior graph attached, then will implement all those functions that the triggers expose. Then from any other object you can call. So as long as they are implementing that behavior graph or have that behavior graph attached, they will be implementing those functions. So you can see, think about it in that way. If you wanna, you have an object, so you have this object like a cube, and then you want all the instances of the cube to implement the same functions, that you create a bunch of triggers there, and then all these triggers are essentially like methods that these instance of the object is implementing, and then you could call any of these, and this will be just methods that this object is implementing and pass parameters, and so you can build complex behaviors on objects using. But if you wanna make it more granular, you can create a specific behaviors. So this is the classic. What is an animal or is a mammal, or you can have a hierarchy of behaviors. Just like creating different behavior graphs with different functions, and then attaching all those graphs to.
I often forget about the concept of adding multiple graphs to something. Like I have this tendency to put everything in one, and then I realize, oh, maybe those should be separated out as individual functions. And
yeah, I mean,
so this is just me as a non-programmer. Like, I'm slowly learning these patterns, and like what makes more sense. And yeah, just takes time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's useful if you have like small graphs that implement different triggers, for example, here, or just like general behaviors. Then you might want to, maybe you have two objects and one is more specialized than the other, but both of them do the same thing, but another one does like some other extra thing.
Some bonus thing, yeah.
Yeah, so you can.
You don't want to clutter the first graph with all that.
Yeah, so you refactor those behaviors in smaller graphs, and then you can reuse those graphs for other objects that maybe they are not doing the whole thing, but they are doing that part.
The example might be in my keyboard. I may find that the backspace key, because it's a special function, still lights up just like all the other keys, and maybe that light up graph should be its own thing. And then instead of sending, its key data like the other ones do, it's special. It does, reading of things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in that case would be something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess like working on graphs, at some point you will run on some situation where you say like, oh, these are doing the same, but I want this one to do on top of this. I want this one to do also this. So then you can separate these behaviors and reuse them in different objects.
Yeah, it's very cool. I wondered if we wanted to take a little bit of time if anyone, I don't know, had questions, like maybe there's something you're trying specifically, or are curious about how you would get started on a particular graph or task or something. This is kind of a good time to talk about it as a group, or to sort of go through it.
Yeah. So what is
When you're using like copy paste?
here?
Yeah.
Here, this one. Okay, yeah. So this one is a new, but this is a new.
Oh, but it's supposed to duplicate the initial one.
Okay,
That's what
yeah.
Blender does. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I think I added that pretty early on. I never really use it, to be honest. But this, how does the shader editor?
Like so make something. I don't know.
So if here, let me go to
Find
that.
the-
So
yeah.
this one, if I do this, new material. Oh, but it copies the first one. Yeah.
The data from the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Manuel, while Urs mentioned that button, while you have the shader graph open, 2 buttons over, that little pin, can you add that? It's so useful.
What, this?
Yes.
What is this for?
Well, that means if I select a different object, it'll keep that graph on.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's
I
true.
need that so bad.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know it.
Although it has its dangers, I will say. Like, it's easy to get you have it pinned and then you...
I guess it's just probably as simple as adding this. I guess it's Yeah, I can.
The window thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't remember this at all. Yeah, because it's.
I would say the one other thing that I kind of wish, speaking of, just while we're talking about the window stuff, I kind of wish that if you opened a second behavior graph window, it didn't always mirror the first one.
Yeah, but that's how also the default shader editor, because I think I did look into that. But this is, I mean, if I remember correctly, if I did it correctly, this always mirrors the other one. Oh no, you can pin it. Okay, if you don't pin, so let me. Yeah, if you don't, I guess because I don't have.
Yes, but you can still pan around the one, can't you? Or no, yeah, you could still.
Yeah, well, panning you can, yeah. But then I guess if you pin this one, then what you have is the other one changes and this stays. So that's useful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really used that.
I didn't mean to go off on that. I just thought of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's probably easy to add. It's just I don't really use it that much, so I didn't pay much attention.
It would be handy when you're copy pasting things from one graph to another, or trying to compare, or.
Yeah. Let me. Yeah. So actually, I think it was sometime where I was trying to work on two graphs, and then I said, oh yeah, it mirrors, and then I went to the shader graph, and I saw that it was always also mirroring. So I was working on other stuff and didn't really pay much attention to it. But yeah, that's useful. Yeah.
Like I might pin my scene graph on one side or something, and then have the object graph on the other.
Yeah. Yeah, because now if you add this, and so it's completely mirroring the. Yeah, I can look into that. If it's an easy thing to add, I can add it quickly.
Okay. Yeah, just a small.
Cool. The other thing that is new that I also mentioned in the channel is that now the player events. So enter, stay, and exit. Now they will report any player, not only the local player.
Yes.
So this is something that didn't work like that before. So it's quite an important change, because now you will. It's an important change because you have to account for that. If you have previous graphs that where you were assuming that it's always only reporting the current player, then I have to keep in mind that now this is returning all the players. So yeah.
And there's still no concept of a player variable type, right?
No. No. There's no
string or
yeah. Actually, I think
player to string either.
Yeah, I think when the way I used to, whenever I needed that, is I used to get the display name, I guess. I remember sometimes I need to store it, so I just store the display name. But I guess we can also add support for storing players in variables. That probably is very useful. But yeah, I didn't really use it that much. But
it would be useful if you were assigning like player 1, player 2, player 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then you would know like who's who.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see that being useful. So yeah, now that's nothing really changes user facing, but internally this will always output any player colliding with a trigger. So that's also something new. And yeah, those are this week's news. And there's another thing we're working on right now, and Imaginary is reviewing it, which is this live scene update, which I believe is really useful. At least it's been for me for a long time. I was just always thinking I have to do that at some point because it's very useful. So essentially, what this means is, let me open more. And this is not part of the new behavior graphs add-on. This will be part of the the Hubs add-on, the default add-on, because this is useful in any case. So not only for behavior graphs. So yeah, essentially you have in the scene, and now you have this panel here. I don't remember, this is the tools panel. I think it's called the tools panel, right?
Yes.
Well,
No.
the one on the left is the tool shelf. That one has always colloquially be called the N panel.
Yeah. I thought I had a
tab panel. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
now in this panel you have this box, which is the scene debugger. Oh,
Sorry,
Yeah.
my bad.
and I have like this box here for creating a new scene, and this other one for updating the scene. So the way it works is, well, first of all, you need to install some things. I have tried to automate that as much as possible, because I guess it's not so intuitive for non-developers, and this is probably going to be like mainly used by artists, I guess, also developers.
Oh, this is exciting.
So then here, now you have like this scene debugger configuration, and then you can choose a browser. Then we have this bottom part here, which is the dependencies. So it works using a library called Selenium, which is a library that instrumentates browsers. So you can run a browser, but fully instrumentalize it. So you can change configurations or load things, or do everything that you can do with the browser interface, but like through that library's API. So yeah, well, essentially you first need to. I'm gonna uninstall, so you see. But so the default version without the libraries installed will be this. So it will tell you that the module is not found, so you need to install the modules. So you just click on. There's not so much feedback now, so you will see that the UI blocks for a bit until it installs. Ideally, you will just run this, or at least at the beginning, until we polish it and we figure out all the different scenarios. Just run it from the terminal, so you can see the output if anything fails, because that's also useful to report. But then if everything goes fine, then you will see that you get this other panel here. Now the modules are found. And then you just choose a browser. This delete profile button, this is for internally when you run the browser, or even the regular browser, then you have a profile that stores like all the settings and configurations from the browser. So this creates a specific profile for Selenium, from this version of the browser that you're running. So if you want to clean that, then you can click on delete, and that will delete the profile, and you can start fresh with a new profile. Then there is this button here also to override the executable. So this is in Mac. I didn't run into these problems. It just finds the executable and runs it. But in other systems like Linux, I run into issues finding the executable. So you have a chance to just override it, and click on this and look for the browser executable and just set it there, and then will work. But yeah, if you don't need that, you can just uncheck that. And then once you have the browser and the module set, then you can just go to the end panel here, and you have this button to create a room. You can set the flags. So the flags are usually kind of like a pain point, because nobody really knows what flags do they need to run behavior graphs or to run ECS. So this simplifies a little bit that. By default, they are all set. So you use the new loader, ECS, and you skip entry, so you don't have to go over the. Done with that you can create. And this launches a new version of or new instance of the browser, and it will just start loading. And while it's loading, you will see that here there's like a status. Oh, actually, oops. Oh yeah, sorry. Let me I need to launch the. Well, actually, we can just test. Yeah, actually, this is a. Oh yeah. So yeah, that's it. Only the buttons only refresh when you refresh the region or that area of the screen. Just not to be polling the whole time. I don't think we need to be polling. Just like you just go there and then it will refresh. But otherwise, they might not reflect the real status of the room. But then you can. Yeah, well, this is the other part that I didn't mention. So you have the most important probably. So you have here you can specify the hubs instance that you want to use. I was using the local one because I usually use that for development. But otherwise, you can use the demo one, which is hubs.mozilla.com/demo. And then if you click on create, then that will call or start a new instance using that. Let me. Oh, yeah, I didn't. Yeah, wait. Let me close it. Still need to test a bit more. So we'll go here. Okay, yeah. So here and then you create a new room. Oh, why is it not working?
The first time it took some small moment to show up.
Ah. It can be. Yeah, I've been doing some changes. Let me say one thing. No. Slash demo. Okay, this will be fine. Let me. Yeah, I'm gonna close it and just create new instance. Okay, yeah, I have the instance that was running. I guess something happened with that one. Well, you see here, it will just create a room. So it will start on the create, like a landing page sort of, and then just immediately will create a room using these flags that you have specified there, and then you will go straight into the room. So now once you are in the room, I'm gonna do that. Split this. Once you are in the room, then you just can click on update, and that refreshes the screen. So then whatever you do here, you can click on update, and I have to select, and then you see that it's updated there.
Yay!
Oh, yeah. Yeah, one thing that I was discussing with Imagineers initially, so the settings that this scene update uses is whatever it is here, whatever it is in this panel here. So you have, but the problem with that is that you have to, for those options to be persisted, you need to export at least once, which is a bit annoying. So yeah, probably we'll add the options here, or at least the main options here, so you can override the export options without needing to go to the export panel and click on export at least once, so they are persisted, and then yeah. So.
But like once you export it, then you can just hit update and it'll work.
Yeah. Once if you export right now with the version that I'm running here now, it will take whatever you have here. But for this, I mean, by default, these settings I usually like export the whole scene. But there are some other things that are not usually checked. Like, for example, the mesh apply modifiers, which sometimes you want that. So if you want to change the default export options, now you have to go to the export to the export dialog here, and then do whatever you want to do, and click on remember, and then export once, and then after that, then it will always take those settings. But yeah, I mean, we're thinking of adding here the most used settings at least, so you can use that instead of the ones from the export panel. And then yeah, because I think, or at least me, most of the time I just use either export selected only, apply modifiers, export cameras, export lights. Those are the ones that are, I think, they are the most used. But yeah, so that's how this option will work.
This looks very, very great. It is so. I made a macro sequence to do all that now. When I save with a special combination, key combination in Blender, the thing is saved, and then it drags and drops from the folder into the window and uploads it. But this is much, much more convenient.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's gonna save.
Yeah, definitely. This is, and you just click update, and it goes very fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a really light scene, I guess. If I try with this other one, maybe that will text. Yeah. Oh yeah, because this is not using behavior graphs. It's well, this scene is a bit. Yeah, I guess I'm sorry if I have like a heavier scene. I guess I can try. Yeah, I have this one actually. Let me try with a bit more heavy one. Oops, what happened? Oh, damn it. I lost the window. Okay, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you use the local instance, that will be pretty fast. If you use a remote instance, it will also depend on your internet connection and well, the export time. If it's a big let me see this one. Like for example, this one will probably take some time.
It's
yeah.
bad because you're not actually uploading that GLB to the server, the debug local scene. It all happens on the client side.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It tends to be, from my experience, the export is what takes longer.
Yeah,
when you have lots of animation.
So now this one, yeah,
Keyframes are slow to export.
It will take as long as the export takes. In this case of this scene, as it has like a lot of objects and stuff, then this might take a little longer. So you see, all this time is just basically export time. Because I can see the log just running with the primitives created, extracting primitive from the GLTF exported, so the export is still running now, and especially like when you have to pack images, big images, or you are using a big HDR or big textures, then that also adds to the export times. So I guess this is maybe, I don't know, I don't remember how big this scene was, but yeah, definitely this one. But it all depends on your computer and how long does it take to export. But
now a little bit working icon could be helpful, so that you see that it is still updating or working. Because now
Yeah.
I start to wonder, is it still working or had it stopped working or what happened?
Yeah, I don't know. My computer today is not really cooperating, so it could be just hang. But I mean, anyways, I think it's just in that case. I guess it's probably something about the exporter or the scene. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Blender doesn't really have a good way to show long-running processes like this, so it's not easy to do what you're asking, Urs.
Mm-hmm.
You can to some extent, like you can um, change the name and stuff, but usually that requires creating modal operators and which um, essentially are asynchronous operators. So they run in the background, and it
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
um, can be done, but it's a lot to
Okay,
set up.
not necessary. The first
Yeah.
ones, and for debug or for working on small stuff, where you have to upload often, it works very
Mhm.
fast, and that's great. If
Yeah.
you have big scenes, I think it doesn't really matter if it's fast or not.
Yeah. No, this shouldn't add much overhead to the whole process. I mean, it's just running, uploading the scene like locally, as
Yeah.
Emmanuel said. So this will take as long as the whatever the scene takes to export, but shouldn't add any more time or whatsoever.
Mm.
Yeah, one thing that it does is um, uh, let me. Yeah, by default this is using the bug local scene flag. So you see that flag isn't here. So here you can only decide if it's a new loader, ECS debug, or a skip entry. I made the bug local scene a default parameter, but now I think that it's useful to have it also like optional, because you might want to to check models or avatars.
Yeah, I still like to be able to drag things in there
Yeah.
sometimes.
So I think maybe you are working on a model. If you uncheck the debug local scene from here, it will upload like a drag and drop model in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's
Mm-hmm.
also very useful
Okay.
for if you are working on an avatar, for example, and you want to see it there with working with the light in the scene or whatever, or then I think it's useful. So I'm gonna change that so that flag is optional and it's not hard coded. But yeah, other than that, this is basically how it works. It will take, and also like it's persisted across the scene. So you even if you change the scene and you start a new scene, you see that the instance is still created and you can update. So you can. Oh, this is a. So you can go and open different scenes and then just go here and update, and then the scene is updated. You don't have to create another browser, and you don't have to create another room just because you open a new scene in Blender. So that, yeah, so yeah, I hope that is useful. I will try to see if I can finish the review and update a few things and do a bit more testing these next few days, and maybe we can release it soon.
What's
Great.
um what's on your agenda next, do you think?
Well, first I want to finish this review for this live updater,
Hmm.
so this thing, and then my idea is just keep on going over the P zeros that we have.
All right.
I have
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
small tasks, like well, these things that we see and report here, like the pin button, copy button. Well, this not that's related to behavior graphs, but then I'm also have to work on a few other things from the new loader and book fixing and stuff like that. So, but yeah, but if you have anything that is a priority, because you need it for a scene, or then or you can open a P0, or we can go over it here in the meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as I said, the priority list is basically driven by the content that we need or people want to create. Well, there's a few things that is good to have or we want to have, but other than that, it's just what is more useful.
I was wondering how much time you have for the bugs we create, bug reports we create, because I had this bug with the material that doesn't work, and I wanted to work with the material in the theme, and I needed to take a workaround with all these ifs. I had 7 objects with 7 different materials, and because the material variable doesn't work, I needed to create this if structure with 7 ifs, if then, to make a workaround with the variable. This is material 1, and if it is material 1, then take that material. And if it's material 2, then take the other ones. If I could have saved the material in the object with a variable, this wouldn't have been needed. But because this material, I can't get the materials to work, they really crash. So I thought, how much time do you have for these bug reports?
No, I'm gonna. The priority is always fixing the bugs. I think you reported that.
Yes, I
That one.
reported it. Yes, yeah.
Not sure. Did I answer? I think I answered to that one.
No,
I think I tried that.
yeah, you tried before I uploaded the blend file, and you said no, you can't reproduce it. But in the blend file, it should work. The bug should be there.
What's
Okay.
the issue? Just using a material variable?
It crashes. I put a material in, and Hubs crashes. And sometimes one material variable works, and then I add another one, and then it crashes. And in the complex graph, none of the material variables work. Every now and then I try it and look.
I think I had this same problem.
Yeah, I think I will try with your blend file, because I remember when I read your comment, I tested and I couldn't reproduce. Well, actually, did you post that? Yeah, is that blend file in the channel, or is in the back?
It's also in the bug.
Okay.
It is in the channel, and I also put it in the bug. Manuel, I don't want to make any pressure. I just wanted to ask, because I had this situation that I wanted to use materials and I couldn't because it doesn't work.
Yeah, no.
So I wondered how much time you have for this bug fixing, and maybe these small bugs and issues nobody uses except of me are not very important. So we are just in a state of trying out things, and I just wanted to know.
No, that should work. I mean, these things that they're broken somehow, then that should be. That I want to fix those things first, because I don't want to have like broken. I mean, whatever we discover, I don't want to let it be broken. So
that would be great. Yeah, that would be very, very great.
Yeah. No, yes, the last few days I didn't really spend time on this, but yeah, it's
Never mind. I'm just asking.
Yeah. I will.
First, I think you just edited your initial bug report, and I don't believe that sends notifications to people who are subscribed to it. So maybe next time, if you do something like that, just leave a comment saying that you updated the description to include the blend file, and then everyone will know that.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I didn't. Yeah, I tried to check the reports and stuff often, but sometimes I'm focused on other stuff. But yeah, I will take a look at that.
Mhm. Great.
Um, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. So, are there any more questions or comments?
Don't think right now.
Okay. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have now. I think I'm gonna leave the event model discussion for whenever I have time to go over that documentation. Yeah, I wish I can have some time to prepare some. Yeah, I said last week that I want to prepare some demo, like networking demo, um, especially that Glove room where we want to keep track of who's in and out of the trigger to only show the globe when somebody's in.
Mhm.
And but I didn't have time to prepare that, so hopefully for next.
Mhm.
I had a scene where I've had like intermittent success with networking,
Hmm.
and I'm not really sure why.
Yeah, you want to share it? We can quickly check.
Maybe, yeah, just because I'm not confident I'm doing it right. Um, I'll share my screen again. Let's see. Um, what I was trying to do was to have a let's open this real quick. Yeah, this sort of like multiplayer trigger thing where I had 4 trigger volumes and I wanted to track to make sure all were occupied and then this thing in the middle would appear, right? It would show
Hmm.
it change materials basically. But then what I decided to do was just because testing for 4 is really hard, just set it to 2, right? So 2 of them are active. And so I'm only checking to see if these 2 triggers are occupied. It's a property, a Boolean. And so every time this gets triggered, I check, are they both true? Like, are they both occupied?
Hmm.
And the occupied graph is this, like the triggers just have a thing that says whenever a player enters or exits, you're going to set occupied true or false. Like nothing really fancy there.
Hmm.
And then I set the material on the object and I say, hey, it was triggered. But I don't. It's weird, and I'm not sure if it's like because of accounts and like how I'm trying to test it. But what I wanted to do was just try this out. It would be easier if I hid these other ones or just got rid of them. Um, I'll just get rid of them, and
So
then
wait,
make
what you want to do is when there is somebody in all the triggers, then you change the material of
yeah, like
the gem.
basically light this gem up when these are
Hmm.
occupied. Right, that's
Okay,
it.
by different people,
Uh,
2 people on each.
yeah, like one on each
Hmm.
side.
One on each. Yeah.
And so when I export this um, and then upload it and test it with 2 people, I can't get it to work. And I don't know.
Um,
I guess I could
how
test it with
have
somebody
you
here.
have you checked if the variables are actually being set when somebody's inside?
Um, yes, I believe I have.
So the
Um,
variables are true when there is somebody inside. The
yeah.
occupied is true,
hmm
and
But
then
here's what was weird. When I tested it in VR, it worked. Like I had one VR headset person and one desktop person, and then it worked.
Oh, that's
but
very clear.
I can't get it to work on desktop like alone, and I'm not sure
Yeah,
why.
that's strange. I don't see how it shouldn't work in. Did you test recently this on the testing instance? Because I mean, in the past, player collision enter will only trigger for the local, but now it should trigger for every user. So
Yeah.
so then I guess now it will work. I mean, if when there is two people, you can you get that event for the two players, and you set both occupied variables to true, and then on the gem on tick, you just check that those variables are true, and if they are true, you change the material. I think that should work.
Yeah, I would think it would. I mean, I have it uploaded here as a scene we could uh,
Yeah, if you share
try
the
out.
URL, we can try that.
Sure.
Yeah, can I just, or I have to create a room. Let me make a room and then I'll share it. I guess we could have tested 4 people. Now that we have a big group here. All right. So I'll give you here's,
Remember the flag.
oh, what
We
flag
can
do I
put
need
it.
on there?
We can put it ourselves, but just the new loader flag.
Oh, right. Let me do that here. All right. So I'll paste the URL in our room chat here.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
All right.
So I can get these to light up myself. Yeah, it's working. But see, it's not lighting up the other thing. Like if Urs gets on there and then I get on there,
Okay. You
I
You
don't
are
see the
both.
thing
Now it
light up.
lights. I see you light your
Yes,
OS
but
is
do you see the
lighting.
gem in the middle of the room?
I
No,
don't see the gem.
there is no gem.
Yeah, the gem doesn't light up.
No, there
Uh-huh.
is none.
Exactly. It's supposed to appear when you and I are on the triggers.
Ah, okay. It appears. It's not like. Ah, okay.
But it worked in VR. It's weird.
Let me.
Strange.
Yeah, that is strange. Uh, Let me check one thing.
But why did it stop lighting when I'm still on in the area?
Yours is lit.
Yes, I left it and went in again. But when I stay, it suddenly stops.
Really?
Yeah.
It looks lit to me the whole time.
Yet,
No,
yeah.
weird.
Now, yes.
This is strange because I don't see the. Yeah, it's not triggering the callbacks for me when you go in and out the. So maybe let me check because maybe it was something wrong and with the version of the.
You mean you're not even seeing the player collision?
Yeah, so when I should be seeing the collisions here happening, I only see. Wait, enter, exit. So I think I saw. Oh yeah, no, I
No.
saw. I only see me. Yeah, I see me, but I don't see your collision. So I believe
Yeah, I don't see yours
this
either.
is weird. Yeah, yeah. I think that's something is not okay with the. Maybe it's not deployed that version. I think I did, but so that should be apps. I'm gonna check because maybe the problem is like I didn't deploy. Uh, uh-huh. Trigger support. Yeah. I'm gonna check.
I'm just updating the scene, by the way. I'm going to reload because I added a debug just to see something.
This is. Yeah, I think. I know it should be. Yeah. I'm gonna deploy to the testing instance because maybe it was something. Yeah, let's deploy again just in case.
I just added a little true false so I can see if it's
Okay,
setting occupied to true.
can you reload the testing in the testing
I
instance?
did. I uploaded it. So
Yeah,
if you
I mean
reload,
reload the scene because I updated the image of this instance, so just in case.
like upload the scene again.
See, and reload the room.
Oh, reload the room. Sure.
Yeah, just like click on reload on the browser.
Reloading.
Let's see. Because I
Okay.
should see you at least. Can you go in and out the trigger? Oh yeah, now I.
Oh, now I see them triggering.
Yeah, yeah. So now.
All right, wait. So Urs, you get on there.
Yeah.
And I get on there. Okay, but I still don't see the gem appear.
Now maybe
I see info false.
False is when you leave.
Okay.
True is when you.
I see nope, false, and nope. But
Yeah, it's never saying true on his. Now, if I get out of mine, wait, Urs, you stand still for a second. All right, so he's in. I'm out. Mine turned false. Do you see it turn true ever?
no, and
Mine
also
says true,
for
false, true,
some
false.
reason
I
the
mean, you can
player
see on mine.
collision events I don't see them triggering anymore, so something's off.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
no. When I stay in and you come here and go out, then it turns off.
It does. Yeah, I didn't put in logic for that.
Okay.
What I should do is store whoever entered and then say,
Yes.
did the person who left, are they that person? And if they're not, then don't. And that's one way to do it anyway. Yep. So those are registering for me, but when Urs goes in and out, I should see true false also. But when he goes in and out, I don't see them triggering. I did earlier, and now they're not.
Yeah, no, something is weird. Um, Play collision. I should be seeing the collision events, but some reason I don't see the collision events. Yeah, strange. Huh. Yeah, I will need to take a look at that. Sorry. What's in? Say again.
You should only be able to select them if they have a
Yeah.
rigid body component on them. Because
Yeah.
that's required to be a trigger.
Yeah, maybe it's probably that. Yeah, you need the trigger needs a rigid body, so we filter there. Okay, so
Right,
yeah,
like this only lists things that have a rigid body.
On collision, on player collision event. Yeah. Can you go in and out, any of you, or in?
Going out of the trigger.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure why it's not firing. Yeah, I need to look into that because for
Do you
some
want?
reason it's
I
not.
can send you this blend file so you have it to go with.
Yeah, just send it over. That save me time of
Save you a
setting
little
up
trouble.
stuff. Yeah, because I see it. Yeah, so I see that we are setting listeners, but then I don't see them. I see them only firing once. Yeah,
Now those variables are set to be networked, occupied. I would think that they needed to be.
Yeah, no, that's. I don't think that's related. Probably, it's just you need to be. I think it's just the events are not firing for whatever reason. That's a problem.
I mean, the weird part is it's definitely firing the material change. We see that.
Okay, so they're triggering for me.
However, I don't see the debug true false that happens right after the material, and then maybe it's not triggering the.
Yeah, it could be that you are not getting the other players. Well, yeah, I will take a look at the same. This can be probably a mix of things. Like maybe there's something wrong with the events, and also there's something wrong on the graph. So
Could be something like one of the outputs isn't working or something. Like, It should though. I mean, the thing is, I've had it work, and like I said, it strangely worked in VR. I had one person go in and out,
strange.
and then like why would that work? Like the gem appeared. Like
Maybe something to do with the VR hands.
thought. I mean, anything is possible.
Maybe try flying a bit above the ground.
Yeah, but we're seeing them trigger. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like part of the graph triggers and part of it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because it gets all the way through this. It goes. Obviously, it has to pass through this, and then it's lighting them up, or not.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm seeing these fire.
Let me see. Oh,
Well, I suppose we're just in like debug mode now, so I just wanted to say if anybody, I guess our meeting is officially over, but anybody who wants to stick around obviously can.
no, I was just checking if trying to see if there is everything is set as expected, because I made like a couple of changes for this to work, and I tried locally, but I see that here it triggers the first couple of things after you join the room. It actually works, but then stops working at some point.
Yeah, that was the weird part. That it was like I was seeing Urz's enter and exit coming through initially.
Yeah.
So this time when I started it's already lit. Oh, there you go.
True.
Maybe he left before he left the volume. Yeah, I'm seeing him now.
Yeah, I'm not getting the event for you, so that's strange.
Oh wait, you go in and out. Let me see. Yeah, I got that one. Got that one.
Oh yeah? Do you go inside now? Yeah, I don't see that here, actually. I only see mine.
It happened late.
Yeah. Strange.
But you would think that the gem would appear eventually, because like it's true. Like both are true. That one said true.
But you don't. Do you have at the back when both are true? And so instead of nope, so we'll say yes or something.
Yeah, it should have said true.
Yeah.
Does the gem really show up? Is there an issue with the gem?
No, well, good question. That's a good thought, but it should show up. I mean, I've seen it show up.
It should is always a problem.
Well, true. True.
Maybe you can just put it visual and see if it shows, or.
Well, here's what I can do. I can make a debug that happens on true or false. Doesn't matter which one. And this one will tell you what the value is, like gem. Well, I'll just leave that. And then on either one, I can get rid of these, but well, actually, I'll leave them on so we know which one it was supposed to be, true or false. But it will always display the result of those two triggers being occupied.
So you see my. Oh, so you can see my avatar triggering the event, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you go get out of the trigger?
Oh wait, that shouldn't be a sequence. Crap. Sorry, I made a mistake. This should go here, and this should go here.
Yeah, I think maybe there's something to do with because in the local avatar you have a cylinder as the physics say for collisions, but in the remote avatars, I believe you only have like a small cylinder on the head. So maybe that trigger is not big enough. And
but I'm seeing it trigger.
Yeah, but
I'm seeing it light up.
Maybe my avatar is different. It has the cylinder is placed in a different place, and it actually collides with the.
I mean, if I turn on debug, yeah, I see your cylinder head. There it is.
Yeah, so if you.
Oh yeah, it's a little high.
Yeah, if you fly and you just go a little bit. Yeah, there you go. So that's the problem. It's the cylinder. The trigger is too small for the avatar. I mean, sorry, the trigger volume is too small, and the cylinder.
Yeah, but why am I seeing it trigger?
Because mine has the. Yeah, my avatar is designed differently, and the head is lower than yours.
But if you look down.
But what I'm saying though is,
Well, okay.
if I see the pad light up like this, that means you triggered it. Like full stop. Like it's either working or
Oh
it's
yeah, well
not.
that's also true actually. Let me think. So,
I'm gonna
no,
reload because I just added
because
debug.
I
Yeah.
believe that is being triggered by collision, not by avatar, right? What type of collision is the trigger volume? Well, let me no.
Avatars
That
only.
doesn't make sense. Yeah,
Avatars
that's
only.
strange. That's unexpected. So it was because I think if my so if you crawl sort of and enter the trigger volume is crawling, then I can see your event, and the same for URS. But if you just walk, you like that, just walking, I can't see the event. But if you lowered your avatar, you go a little bit down and you enter, then I can see the collision.
Wait, what happens when ERS goes in it?
The same. Earth's head is also pretty high for the trigger, but if it flies and goes a bit lower.
Can you hit G ERS to go into fly mode
It
and then
doesn't work. I try,
G?
but it doesn't fly. Yeah, I try, but it does. I can't fly.
Oh, maybe it's
Are you
disabled.
sure?
Can I? Where is the setting in the preferences?
No, that's
Well,
in the room preferences.
for the room, I might have turned it off. Let me make sure.
Yeah, go to
Allow flying. Apply. Okay, now do it.
Okay.
G and then
Whoops.
like
Yeah. Oh,
there you go.
There
There
you
it
go.
goes.
Then I
Okay,
see
but I
the
still don't
collision.
see the gem.
No, well, that can be another different issue. But yeah, these will figure out why it's this. Is the trigger size is too small for the average avatar apparently. And but the weird thing is, why is the box lighting up? Because
Yeah,
that's the same exact output, right?
like it should
Yes,
work
it looks
because
like
this is triggering it also.
So how does the graph look like? So is exactly going out from that?
Look, it's so simple. It's just on player collision enter. That's it.
And then on player
And
collision
exit.
enter, and then you set the value there, and you set the material after. That's just very strange. This is strange because yeah, I guess there is an explanation. We just need to find it. Entity nodes. Weird. Yeah, because every time you commit flow, right? Output commit flow. So yeah, it's
I'm just adding extra debug. And then I'll replace the file.
Emitters.
You could reload too if you want to see it.
Really curious about. Oh yeah, you changed something?
Yeah, just do a quick reload of it. And that way I can see if we can see. It should tell you whether both triggers are occupied. There it is. Both triggers occupied, false. Still false. Yeah. Why is it always false? And I mean, even if we like go down and then.
I think it's just one. For some reason. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Is it possible the AND node is not concatenating properly?
The AND?
Yeah.
That's really strange. Like, yeah, because if the both things are lighting up, then
do a debug on each of those pools.
On these guys?
Yeah, those two. Yep.
I mean, I was already doing that before. I mean, I did it in the trigger itself, but like that's what's saying true or false. whether occupied is.
Yeah, but just directly on the variable.
Let's not do it here. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it in this.
Yep.
So I'm gonna remove. These just, and then I will debug each one of these whenever it triggers. So I guess here.
Yep.
I'm just gonna do, and in fact, I'm gonna be really explicit by just saying,
Yep.
like, trigger A equals. I'll do the second one. On this one, we'll say trigger B equals. Which one is which? I don't know. Trigger 1, trigger 2. Trigger 1 is A. Cool. All right. Easy.
Excellent.
And then let's upload that. Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Like if you already had it associated with a scene or something. Oh, weirdly, it always says false. I think Urs might need to. Well, no, Urs just joined. I'm not seeing his triggers. Although maybe he needs to duck down a little.
Okay.
Just my
down.
bad triggers. Let's see. Okay, there it goes. Okay, but yeah, it's true. They also, okay, trigger A, wait, go in there again and stay there. Trigger A true, trigger B false. Both false. Okay, good. Now I go in. Wait, he left. Wait, stay in there.
Yeah, okay.
Mine never says true.
You are B, or is it me with B?
I'm B, you're A.
Okay.
Let's switch places. Okay, you leave that one. Let's just try it. Okay. Now B is false still. Why is B always false? That's our problem. Trigger B always is coming up false in this gem graph. Same exact graph. They both have a variable called occupied, and they both have a variable called myVis, which is like my visible entity, cube 1 and cube 2. So that's, yep. Get rid of this. That's just nonsense.
Any chance there's a difference in the rigid body settings?
Sure. There's always that possibility.
Oops.
Sure. Yeah, they're A and B, respectively. A always seems to work. Are they using the same data or something? Is there? Well, they do have. They are networked. Occupied is networked.
Shall I leave?
Okay, that's true now. Still true. But of course, now I said it false because I left. Okay. hmm Right. They're all saying, I just set it to true, or I just set it to false.
It shouldn't.
Do I need to check for ownership already? Right. hmm No, I'm just, yeah, I'm reloading with ECS debug so I can also see.
And now they're
Okay.
both on. Why are they both on when you're not on either of them?
I think when people leave, I don't like update it. I didn't.
Ah,
I didn't like clean it up.
but wait. How is that persisted between room loads?
No idea. Oh yeah, he's
Oh,
still in there.
ah,
He's
okay.
sneaky over here in the wall.
Ah,
He's like
bugs are in the
sinking in.
wall. Bugs are in the wall. Okay, that makes sense.
Wait, how do you see an ECS debug who owns something? Like trigger. Oh, right click. I forgot you could do that. Who is? You? In my client, I am not the owner. None of them. hmm Right. Oh, but so are you. Hmm. Got it. Hmm. Yeah, what do we do? I sort of get it. I think yeah, I would need to do it to know. Sure, they fire off everywhere.
Hmm.
No, I followed. I think what I don't understand is like how. Uh,
Well,
like on the one hand, I could make these not networked
if you
since
make it
everybody's doing it locally anyway.
Yeah, if you make it networked, can you test if it's the local player? But um, I think there's a node for that.
Is local player, yes.
So then add in a branch node there, and if it's the local player,
Then
set
do it.
that networked um, variable. Otherwise, don't.
Same with on exit.
So yeah, so yeah, just try that. Let's see if that works.
Hmm.
Now, did Urs reload?
Yours did not reload. Could you reload and then try again?
No, I didn't. Yes. Yeah, I'm doing it. I was wondering if the room automatically reloads or
It's still saying
I was
false for me though
changing
when I go in
places.
B.
I need to go down. Okay.
But Manuel has not reloaded either.
Is that the deal? Everybody has to be on the same. Yeah, it makes sense. But trigger B is always false no matter what. And I'm not getting the true on his, which makes sense. He's not the local player to me. I don't see the true false because he's doing it and he's not the local player.
Right.
And you can't see it because I'm not the local player to you. But I still can't get two trues. Okay, so now it's just checking when somebody enters, is that player local? Then do it. Otherwise, it doesn't.
But that variable should then propagate to everybody because it's networked.
Yeah, I do want to point out though that when he goes in there, it still lights up. So this is firing.
Wait.
But he's not a local player to me.
Yeah, but he is for him, and so it's.
So he's updating the. But how is he ever updating? Oh, because it's local to him. Okay. Oh boy, my brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all hard. I mean, no matter what we do, but conceptually, it's tricky. Yeah. I never see myself as an owner.
Yes, you are. Well, it says owned. You have the owned
Where?
tag.
Oh, there. I didn't see it. Sorry, I didn't see it.
Wow, sorry.
What do you mean it doesn't? What do you mean it's not attached?
In the ECS debug, I think.
Oh, it doesn't show that it has it? Oh, yeah, there's no network behavior on it. Why? Oh, it isn't.
Oh, it is not. Oh, there we go.
That might have been it the whole time, for all
Yep.
we know.
Let's try it now.
Good old user error. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. That is a very easy mistake to make. Yep.
But, okay, let's say for a minute, yeah, I didn't have that checked. There's nothing that tells you that. Because the nodes light up either way. Oh, it should have still lit these up when I went to this object. Right? It's like once one of them is off, they're all off. Do you see that? All right, everybody reload again.
Okay.
Why do I only see one trigger? What happened to it? Uh-oh, something happened.
What?
It only exported the one mesh.
It gets worse, not better.
Oh, there it is. It started with the wrong material somehow? How?
I don't know.
Now it says trigger B occupied true. Yeah.
Yay.
Okay, so
Okay.
this will probably work now. You go in there. I go in there. It is. Okay.
Yay.
Let's switch. You go to B. I'll go to A. Yay.
Ah,
Excellent.
Well, it's a little of both. We might have been fighting over it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's working. Yeah, we got it into a broken state. Aha. Race condition. Mine's true. Yours is false. Now yours is true. Maybe it's your head. Let's both duck down. Okay, now we're safe and in a. Let's try one. Let's try to do it at the same time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1. Yeah, something happens when we do that. We fight over it. Not moving. Hey, at least we're seeing the same thing. That's a good start.
Yep. It networked. It's
All
just
right.
not what we want.
I own trigger 1. You own trigger 2. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Correct. Here's what it is. I know what it is, Manuel. Well, I could be wrong. I have a feeling that when we both trigger this trigger, which is what the gem is looking for, that it can't fire them both at the same time. Like one cancels the other out on trigger. Oh, hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if I put a debug here, if we see both debug messages.
Well,
Like
each of you should
triggered.
see one debug message. I think.
We should do what?
Each of you should see one debug message.
I would think so.
I think.
I'm updating it again just so we have that extra message. I'm going to reload.
No,
Honestly, these sessions are like the most useful thing ever. All right. So
yeah.
I'm going to duck down a little bit and then. Okay. So now I see triggered, all caps, and then trigger A, trigger B. Now I didn't see triggered, but you did probably. Let's do them at the same time. Sorry, I went too fast. There we go. We did it. I'm A, you're B. B is false. Did you see triggered?
Oh, yeah.
All I do is when triggered gets called. Yeah, I
No,
had it on tick. I had it on tick before, but I was trying to be more efficient.
no. I think it's because of the local player. Um, that it's not firing. So I think we need to do two things. Yeah, yeah. So do a sequence. Yeah, everything ends with a triggered as well. So attach it. Okay. Duplicate the triggered node and put it as the first.
Well, I can't. You can't chain it,
Well,
but I can sequence it.
oh, you're right.
Remember the output doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah, that bug. Okay. But okay.
But I can add a sequence.
Yeah, sequence and do that. Do it to the main interact, and then put the trigger as the second one. Like on what is that on player collision enter? Put that
Hmm
into the sequence, and
Even
then
before it's local or
yeah,
after.
before it's
But I
local.
think Manuel's proposal to steer the gem from OnTick is more flexible because the gem gets a state and the lighting on and off is handled by OnTick, and the state variable is handled by the people in the room. So
Yeah.
they are decoupled. There is no
Hmm.
coupling.
Yep. hmm Yeah.
Well,
It sounds like
maybe,
the on tick is the way to go then.
maybe. Can you just try duplicating the trigger and adding it to the second sequence?
Like putting it here.
Yeah, and do that for the other one as well.
In
The
addition to this one at the end.
yeah. In addition, yeah. So let's just just try that. I think that should work.
Give it a shot. Okay, I'm gonna reload.
Maybe
Yeah, I
we'll
worry about that.
we'll see.
It seems like
This
every
may
time I
not.
try to avoid doing an on tick, I end up using it again anyway. Did
कहानी
everyone
की
reload?
शुरुआत करते हैं Shri Krishna mantra.
Sorry. Oh.
Hey, nice. But you and I had a pretty good timing. Let's try it again. 1, 2. Maybe it's working now. I don't know. I have a delay. That was about as perfect as we could have gotten it. Basically, if these are ever lit up and that gem isn't. There we go. We did it. We broke it.
Yeah, it was broken.
Okay.
Probably.
There it is. I saw it turn on and then turn off. Yeah. Yeah. So if this is the case, then I don't need a trigger at all.
Mhm.
All I would. Right. I got to get rid of all these debug logs though, otherwise we're going to be spamming.
Yes.
So now that's just going to tick and set it.
Yeah.
All the time. All right, let's try that. Maybe it'll be more reliable. Should be. If not a little more expensive.
It's too bad you can't turn on ticks on and off.
Yeah, I know. I always gate them, but they're still firing.
Yeah, could. Yeah, if
And
we
again,
could,
Unreal doesn't have that either. Probably for a good reason. Let's see.
because it would be nice to only trigger the on tick to start ticking when both people are in, or like when one person is in the collision. But yeah, no, because yeah, I was thinking that, but if we made it so that only one person was in needed rather than two, then uh, that should make it. But
this is pretty reliable now.
Yes, it looks good.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I learned it is better to decouple these events.
Yeah.
The triggering and the result.
Well,
Okay, now that there are 4 of us, I'm going to add the other 2 triggers back, and we're going to test this thing.
Really?
that means I need to
I'm flying
in.
close to the sun here. Here we go. Okay, so
Okay. Okay.
trigger 3
What
and 4.
about what if you added a delay, like one of Manuel's new timer nodes, before the trigger was done? would that solve the race condition for the two variables? I mean, it would slow down stuff, but okay.
But it's also not like insanely expensive. It's
I
not
think it is
terrible.
right because it's a state, and you can change states on tick. I think it is totally okay to have these basic states, and the triggers are independent, and then it works. For me, it's quite logic.
All right, I could use you in here, Imaginary. You want to join us? We need
Yep.
4.
I'm just doing that now. Come on.
Okay.
Can
All right, that's
somebody
2
occupy
lit up.
two
Let,
places?
I'll let you choose where you want to go. Where do you want to go?
Okay, I'll just come over here.
Okay, let's see. Does this?
Now?
Oh yeah,
Nice.
baby.
Wow.
That was easy.
Yep.
All I did was add, if you look at the graph, all I did was add the 2 more triggers and it combined and to get there.
Yep. Mhm.
Little user error and a little misunderstanding, but not bad.
Yeah. Well.
That's really cool.
Mhm. It is.
Right, like just looping through something is not a big deal. It's the things you do while looping that are expensive, right? Like if you're doing ray casts like things like that. Okay, everybody go to the opposite corner.
Really?
See if it all
Opposite?
still
Here?
works. Make sure everything is
I.
still functional.
Yep.
Yay!
Yep. It works. It works. Yay! Yay!
Well, we now have a tester for multi networking. This is a good player test. Hey, we got to celebrate the wins, guys. This is,
Yay!
baby steps. We're getting there.
Uh,
Yeah,
but you
but I
can't
think it
properly
is a
hack.
really important lesson learned.
Hmm.
That this concept of decoupling helps a lot.
Well, and I
Yep.
think that's the thing. Manuel like knows this because he knows my background and knows my lack of programming background. So for me, when I'm doing these things and I'm making these examples and mini games and things, like I'm learning as I go as well. Like I don't have a lot of background in game programming and stuff, so I have a lot of background in game logic and game design and scripting. So I've done a lot of graph stuff like this, but I haven't really like built a whole game, like all the parts that are needed and how networking works and how, you know, pausing and restarting and all that stuff. That's a lot to learn. But. VR chat and Rec Room and yeah. Yes. It kind of reminds me of the learning curve that I had with geometry nodes in Blender because geometry nodes have the concept that you're operating on all the vertices at once, not just a single one, or like all the faces or all the. And so when you're conceptualizing the graph in your head and what it does, you always have to think like I'm not just dealing with a vertex, like I'm dealing with a field of vertices. Like it's hard to get your head around that at first, and just like this networking is hard to get your head around. Mhm. I have a feeling as we go, networking of all things will probably we're going to find the need for like all kinds of debugging options and ways of visualizing things um, that would help. For example, it might be handy to have a thing built into triggers like in the debug that tells you who triggered it, like which player, or something. So you don't always have to. That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Like this, right? Right.
Hmm. Hmm.
Sometimes I wish that I had just like this sounds silly, but like sometimes when I'm testing networking things, like I wish I just had an object that would act like a player. Like I could just drag and drop a person around, like another
Yeah,
player.
that would be good.
There's like no way to do that. I know that's like a weird thing to ask for. It's just yeah, they have all those components and things. But yeah, this is cool. This I think what I'll probably do is clean this up a little bit and turn it into one of our shared examples so that we can, you know, and I'll put in the description and everything and make sure it's readable and understandable. Um,
Yeah, probably
and for
you
testing, it
only.
might be nice to make it so that a person can just test with two instead of four. Like
Yeah,
that's a lot,
I just wanted to say that because find 4 people to test it is not that easy.
Yeah, or logging in a bunch of times and yeah.
Yeah. What? Mm.
Manuel, I have a question to have you any plans to make other components script graphable? For example, the UV scroll. I have in
Yes,
mind
all of them.
here how UV scroll could be the X and Y parameters could be triggered or manipulated by moving around in a room.
UV scroll for sure, but I think a node separate from that, like just a way to control UVs in graph would be nice, like be able to set coordinates or something, or because there's a lot of things I would do without a scroll, but I would do with, like for example, being able to have 10 objects, or cards are a good example. I had those memory cards, like to be able to shuffle the cards by shuffling the UVs up instead of only dealing with entities, like, or like, stuff like that. Like,
Well,